Hello, happy Tuesday everybody. Today I'm here with a freebie project. If you don't have access to a printer and you can't print the freebies, don't worry, because there's lots of ideas for completing this without the digital. And if you need a background page, you could switch this out quite easily for a sheet of music paper, even a sheet of newspaper, or a magazine page, because some of this is going to get covered up. If you're using something like a magazine page, for example, you could just use more decoration on top. If you do have access to a printer and you do print this page of the freebie, there are 8 panels to create this zine. If you don't want to create it as a zine, each one of these could be cut out and made into individual journaling cards. So there's lots of possibilities for this freebie. The first thing I need to do is just trim off the edge of this. If you are using US paper size, just print to fit and make sure you print your ephemera pieces at the same percentage. Okay, so I have trimmed this off. Now this panel here is the panel I have designed to be your front page. The first thing we need to do is fold and cut this into our zine. So I'm going to fold it on the lengthways first in half. I'm very tempted to stick my head under to make sure I'm doing this correctly, but I'm just going to burnish that down. I'm going to open it up, and now I'm going to fold it the other way. Again, hopefully that's correct, and burnish that edge down. Now what I am going to do is I'm just going to fold these back on themselves, so I've got folds in both directions. It makes things a little bit easier when you put the magazine together at the end. So I'm going to, using the little line from the panel, is fold into the middle, and again I'm going to fold that back on itself, and the same on this side. So basically what I'm doing is folding along each panel in both directions. Let's burnish that. Oh, that's not quite right. Let's just, there we go. Burnish that down. And again, I'm going to just push it into the opposite direction. So we now have this kind of little folded up piece with all our creases in. The next thing we need to do is cut. So I'm going to turn it over backwards, open that up, fold this down again. I'm just going to take a pencil and draw a little line, one panel in from the top and the bottom, or the left and the right, depending on how you're looking at it. So we want these 2 panels in the middle ready to cut. Grab my little cutting board and my ruler, and I'm going to fold that against my ruler, so I've got a nice, I know my ruler is nice in that crease there. Take my knife, starting at 1 pencil line. This is so we get a nice clean cut, and then cut along the ruler to the next pencil line. Now, if you are using scissors, what I would recommend you do, if you were using scissors, what I would recommend you do is fold this in half and just take a tiny sliver off this piece. But I would still put those pencil marks in. It does help. And I've ripped it. Okay, where I've ripped that, I'm going to quite simply grab a little piece of, this is surgical tape, and I'm just going to put that over that little tear. I find surgical tape is a miracle tape because it's nice and thin. It's not really going to affect anything. So what I'm going to do is fold that down, just burnish that tape. So now we have something that looks like this. So again, this is our front cover. So what I'm going to do is bend that up in the middle, push these together like so. Okay, and I'm just going to push that in both directions like that. Turn it on its side so you've got your 2 little openings here. Pull that up and then we've got this little cross. Okay, so I'm going to, this is my front cover. I'm going to take my bone folder and just burnish there, fold that over, and then I'm just going to open each page and just burnish down. And then I'm just going to hold it at the edges there, burnish that centre fold, and then you can see we have our 4 pages of our little zine. Now we're going to have little overhang here. That's fine. It's the nature. You can't fold paper and expect it to disappear. There is extra paper that's just always going to be there. You can start inking at this stage. I'm not going to. So that being our front cover, I'm going to open that out and I'm going to look at this page here. Now on the top of this page there is a kind of tear on the design. So I'm going to take that page, open up my zine, and where I can see that little tear, I'm just going to tear the actual page there, like so. Now it's actually worth me mentioning, I've printed onto photo quality inkjet paper because it's reasonably thin. Let me grab the box. Okay, so it is £27 or 102 GSM. Okay, it's a coated paper, but it's very thin, similar to copier paper. Right, so we've got our little tear there. I'm going to put the zine back in place. Now I'm going to fold here and fold here, because that particular page I'm going to turn into a pocket. Now I want to put something at the back here, so I'm going to take my pencil and just draw a little cross, open this out, and this is where I need to add something. So I've got a little piece of book page here. I'm just going to tear a very small amount off, like so, making sure that's big enough, yep, to cover that. Add some glue to the back here. Now all of these little things we add are going to affect how well this closes, but I'm quite happy for this to be quite tatty, and you know, the whole thing is designed to be not perfect. Okay, so we will do that, and now you can see we've got something at the back there. So what I'm going to do now is open that back up, grab my ink the edge of that, like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ink this crease here for our little pocket. Ink that little fold. I'm going to make the sides and the edges quite dark, and then I'm also going to ink the actual flap like that. You could cover this in paper as well. The thing is, you would need to do it before you made your tear, and also, like I said, everything you add is going to add bulk, so I'm trying to avoid the bulk until I do my decorating. Now while I'm at it, I'm just going to ink this whole piece along here, both sides of my cut and along the top. We do have to do more inking of the whole zine. We now have this little pocket kind of ready for something there. You can see we've got lots of little bits that are going to show. I'm going to ink those at the end because the more we add, the more we might get showing. So that's our front cover. That's our first pocket there. I'm going to open that page, and this one I'm going to make a pocket from the side. So what I want to do on this one is something to just show us that this is a pocket, like we did with the other piece. So the first thing I'm going to do, this time I'm going to use my circle punch. I'm going to put a little notch in there, just a teeny notch. And then I'll grab a tiny little sliver of paper. It doesn't need to be very big. tear a bit there and a bit there. And again, I'm just going to put a little line. So when I open that up, I know exactly where I need to add my piece of paper. It is worth doing because this is the second time I have filmed this, because the first time I put my paper in the wrong place. I'll show you in a moment. I actually went one further than that. I actually tore the wrong piece as well. So what I did was I actually put a mark there, and then I actually tore the piece that I'd put my book page behind. So I did that completely wrong. Right, so just ink that edge like that. Okay, so again, we'll just put this back together like that. So we have first little pocket, second little pocket. And this one will just be decorated, and that's our back cover. For the decorating, I have lots of pieces. There are some pieces in the kit, which obviously you can use. The first thing I have that I've already started is I've cut out the tag and I've backed it with 2 pieces of paper. So it's made it actually quite sturdy. And this is the tag that's going to go in this first pocket. So I'm going to add an eyelet here. And I've had a bit of a move round. And now I don't know where my tin is with my eyelets in. I've moved my eyelets into this clear box. Right, so you've got my crocodile and my little hole. Set my eyelet, and then I'm going to keep this quite simple. I'm going to just grab a little piece of jute twine. Let's put that through. Trim a little bit of that. Okay, so that will be going into there. And let's see. So now I actually want to do some decorating, and I've got a few little pieces from the digital, but I also have lots of little Tim Holtz pieces because I really need to start using some of those up. Now the butterflies, I did actually print this in 2 sizes. This one is printed full size and this one was print and cut on my Cricut, so it is a little bit smaller. So I've got, let's have a little look. I've got a little number here, maybe put a little number on there, put that in with a butterfly if that will fit. And obviously if you're not using the digital, you'll be able to use any fussy cuts, ephemera, Tim Holtz pieces, anything like that. I think I'm going to go for something like that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to ink this piece first. Now, like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of sewing, so I'm not going to go right to the very edge. I'm going to add my number first, like that. Then I'll ink my image, add some glue, and then add that just so you can see that number poking out. Now, I'm possibly going to add this butterfly maybe there. Not 100% sure yet, so I'm going to leave that for now. Have a little think about that. But I have lots of different pieces of Tim Holtz ephemera. So I'm just going to grab a couple of little bits out. I actually really like that as a pocket, so I'm going to ink it like that. This one is Field Note Snippets, not all of them, I've put labels on. This one is Expedition Thrift Shop, so I'm not sure if that's 2 in 1 actually. Let's see what we've got in here. And somewhere I've got another little tin. Is this the little, I think this, is this the one with the tiny little labels in? Yeah, this is the one with the teeny tiny little pieces. So I'm going to grab that butterfly as well actually. So we've got a bit of a got a bit of a selection and a bit of a stash here. So I'm going to glue the edges of that, just around the sides and the bottom, and put that in. Right, so this is the little tiny camera. Add that. I'm going to ink the little camera that came with the ephemera in the freebie. Just ink that. I'll glue this, but I'm going to kind of glue this into the pocket, so it's behind. I think I'll just put that there, and then I've got this little piece of Tim Holtz ephemera that I'll ink, and then I'm going to ink the tiny little butterfly. I'm going to glue this straight onto that little piece. And the thing about this is you don't have to use anything I'm using. Once you've got your pages of your zine, you can decorate it in any kind of theme you wish. So I'm going to put that into my little pocket. And then let's have a look. We have this page too. So again, you could use your little Tim Holtz paper dolls. But we've also got other little pieces of Tim Holtz ephemera here. I think I'm going to add that to that kind of clipboard that's on there. And I'm going to ink this little paper doll. I'm going to add him here. Okay, I'm going to add these here. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to add that or add... I think I'm going to ink this and glue this down here. Okay, so we've got a little bit of space here. I think I'm going to tuck this under there with a little paper clip once everything is glued down, once everything's stitched and done. Now I have two small butterflies. I think I'm going to do something very simple here. Okay. It says magic every day, so I'm just going to give that a little ink. I'm going to glue that at the top of that page. Ink this little butterfly. Add him, add that, ink this. It's just a case of sticking things down anywhere you think they will look good on your little zine. I do think I'm going to add this butterfly, so I'm going to ink and glue. I'm going to put this down here. I'll just ink around the edge and then I'll just glue that straight into place. Right, so everything is now glued down. What I do want to do is find some of my other Tim Holtz things to add to the front here. So this is another pack of snippets. Let's just go back to these snippets, see if I can find something that would look pretty good on the front. Right, so I don't actually know what I'm going to put on the front of mine at the moment, but I've got all my little bits and pieces, all my pages decorated. Not too much, but a little bit, and it still feels like it's going to close quite well. So what I want to do now is do my sewing. Now, the good thing about this is if you wanted to just sew individual things, for example, I can open this up and sew around my pocket. I could also, if I wanted to, add an image to the front there, my front cover. Maybe not. Let's think. Okay, so out of my Tim Holtz ephemera, I've actually decided I really like that number 3 on the front. It's not much of a label, but I think the number 3 looks pretty good. So I'm going to use that. I was going to use the number 8, but for some reason, I don't know, just wasn't really wasn't really doing it for me. Now I'll just try and ink this. The ink doesn't always stick particularly well. Quite like the fact this is shiny. I'm just going to glue this down. I can still add more if I want to. It's not like it has to be the be all and end all. It's not. I think it's just a good idea to get this together before we add anything else, just to make sure it all works out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each page individually and just stitch where I can stitch, and then I will be back. So I've put all the stitching round. So what I did is I just looked at each page and thought, how is that going to work? So this one I stitched all the way round. This one I literally stitched along the bottom because that's my pocket. This next page I just stitched those 3 edges again because that's my pocket. This one I decided not to sew that because I thought it might be a little bit too much with the sewing all the way around the edge as well. So I've still got my little pocket there. I could always add something else if I wanted to. I want to come back to this page. Actually, I think I'm just going to leave that as a little bit of journaling space. I'm going to put that into my pocket, turn this one, and then we've got this page here. Now in here, I wanted to add this little photograph. So I'm going to ink here, and I've got some more book page. It's 2 book pages glued together, and they're quite sturdy book pages. So that's going to give me a reasonable, a kind of sturdy tag. I'm going to glue this onto my double book page. And this is the kind of thing that I sit maybe on the sofa and do, just go through some book pages and glue 2 together, just to give me something a little bit more sturdy. You can always make some tags with this. I actually have in my cheap, I think it's in the cheap Ephemera series, I did some, I think it's like 20 different tag backgrounds. I'll try and link that here. But one of them is book pages that have been glued together because they do make a perfect background. Let's have a little look and see what we can add to this to make a little tab. So this is just a little piece of Tim Holtz Ephemera. I'm going to fold that in half and we'll ink both sides of this. Now that little tiny piece there you're not really going to see once we've glued that onto our tag, that little overhang. So let's glue this. So that's just a tiny little bit sticking out there. And what I want to do on here, so this idea where you have a little fold in a pocket and then a little something underneath it with a little paper clip, that's a Tim Holtz maker idea, and I can't remember if it is Marley's Designs or Shabby Soul. But I think probably this is the kind of thing that either of those would do. It was definitely one of those 2 Tim Holtz makers. So I've just got that little piece under there. Now this one, I think I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and glue that down like that. So we've got our little pocket in there. And then we have our fabulous little kind of book, really. So that's our zine. We've got the number 3 on the front cover. All I've done is add some words there. We've got the little piece here. I'm just thinking whether I should add that. Do you know, I think I will. Okay, so there's our little tag, which obviously could be decorated. Then we've got the little band, the little pocket watch. We've got our little tag in there. We could always add this little butterfly into that pocket. I think I'm going to add that other pocket watch. So we've got the little pocket, some little Tim Holtz ephemera and the little Tim Holtz pocket. And then we have the little man in the back. So minimum effort and fabulous outcome. I love it. I think it's just so decorative, and because the background pages were so decorative, we really didn't have to do a lot to, you know, kind of make that lovely. It's a lovely little piece. I hope you like it. You could make these any theme you liked, whatever your journal was, you could make the theme to match. The backgrounds are fairly neutral and fairly versatile, so I hope you enjoy using it. The freebie is going to be on my Ko-fi this time. I'll put the link down below. I hope you enjoy it. I will see you all really soon. Take care.